The next thing we're going to do is make a geologic timescale clock. So 4.6 meters is a little hard to look at on a normal basis, but this clock gives us a really great visual. So what you are going to do is carefully cut out the circle clock. And this clock comes from the Evolving Planet exhibit at the Field Museum in Chicago. So if you want to see all of the dinosaur fossils and molds and casts, definitely head over to the Field Museum. That's where my pal Sue behind me lives. And they really, literally walk you through Earth's geologic timescale. So it's one of my favorite exhibits. So we have the clock, and technically you can glue this straight into your notebook. But a lot of students do like to have the arrow as well. So just a note with the arrow, for our purposes, we don't tend to spin it too much in 8th grade. So we are going to include the brad, but if you make the circle that the brad will attach to a little bigger, you don't have to do any extra reinforcement. So I will show you that in a moment. So I'm going to have my arrow look like this, so that way I can carefully poke my hole with my brad through the circle. Be careful with your fingers. So this is what it looks like now. And then I can poke a hole through the center. Again, watch your fingers. And then I can open up the brad. And now I have a clock that spins. So if I really wanted to like focus on an era, to be like, hey, I'm studying this era right now, I can spin my arrow there. And if your arrow isn't spinning too much, what you can do is just loosen the brad and then spin it around on the brad when it's loose a few times. And then tighten the brad back up, and then you should have no problem spinning it. Some other things you can do is with the previous lab, once this is glued into your notebook, you can write down some of the specific events that we studied next to it in your notebook. So this is what mine actually looks like. So I figured out all of the different events that we looked at and where exactly they fall on this timeline. So there's a lot of different ways that we can use models to represent geologic timescale. And this is a really great visual because you see how little time we've actually been on Earth. So I can't wait to see what you have in your notebook.